coming up from the dirt. Ayy, they trying to get us to fall. Ayy, I don't even got a flex now, boy. It's only win by the fall. Ayy, taking off with the ring, ain't nothing left, man. We the kings, ran with the team, ran with the dream, ran with the one fan in the seats. Ayy, I pay my dues, check the receipt. Looking at you already peaked. Way back then. You can't follow with my tracks, man. Last in my past, now you see I'm the one. This ain't work, never work. If you work and it's fun, we on the winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team. On top where you find us, we can do anything. Non-stop till our time's up.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe. For all his work here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
We are back. Welcome to the virtual Daytona International Speedway, and welcome to the first event to kick off Season 3 of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series, starting with the Clash tonight. And along with tonight, we are back to cover the entirety of this third season here on the KBueno Racing Network, and as always, with Charlie Baier in the booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Charlie, it took us about 2 months of rest after Blaise McKinney won the championship and held the trophy last season at Phoenix Raceway. But now we are finally back for the Clash to start things off for Season 3, and we are as excited as ever.
It's back and better than ever, like you just said, and we're gearing up for a really, really exciting season. Participation has spiked over the course of this league, and we're definitely going to see a lot of guys battle for every position, starting with tonight the Clash. A bunch of drivers getting ready to get rolling off here. We'll go green for 45 laps, racing 34 drivers here tonight. It's going to be a show under the lights.
Definitely going to be a show for 45 laps, and with tonight's action, only the drivers from the previous seasons can attend, so only the ones from Season 1 and Season 2 can be eligible for tonight's coverage. You'll see the best of the series so far, and tonight isn't just a points event, and not until we start in 2 weeks' time for the actual 200 in the season opener. But still, always a lot to learn with this group specifically. As we look down over the Daytona International Speedway, it is perfect to see the drivers that are going to be starting on this grid, and you're going to take a look at them as we go along. We're going to start on the pole, where Parker White takes pole position, a driver who was in the championship for last year, looking to start things off smoothly with a 47.589. He takes pole tonight. Right alongside him, the number 51 of Brady Weileman. And back to row 2, the 82 of Cole Williams will start third. Right alongside him, fourth, the 36 of Liam Sheen, who we saw at Homestead Miami Studio actually earlier this year. He starts into row number 2. For row number 3, Dominic Howell will start from the 5th position in the top 5. Right alongside him, the number 42 of Dylan Alt will start in the 6th place for tonight's coverage. Row number 4 will feature Eli O'Quinn in the 23, and the number 2 of Aaron Maroney Jr., one of the strongest drivers we saw last season, coming back for more here in the Clash starting tonight. For row 5, Cole Woody in the 17 will start from the 9th position, and previous championship and championship defender Blaise McKinney will come home and start from the 10th spot.
Starting at row number 6, Jack DeAndrea on the inside and Aiden Kirker on the outside, 2 EMR teammates.
And back to row 7, JJ Hill, another EO Media Racing driver. He starts from 13th. Latham Joyner will come here from 14th spot tonight. Row number 8, Glenn Bundren Jr., the Grassman himself, will start from 15th. Peter Kenny will roll off in the 16th spot. Nick Miller will start 17th, further back in this field. Hunter Up will start from the 18th spot. Then row number 10, Corey Hart and Henry Tabor will file out this top 20. Joseph Costello starts 21st. Brody Garner in at 22nd. And it looks like that'll be practically most of this field. There's still some drivers up to about 30, where Mitch Hobbs is the final driver on this grid so far tonight here at Daytona. So no points on the line, just plain old racing here at the Daytona International Speedway. Charlie, your quick thoughts before we go green.
Well, play racing is all about teamwork, and we're going to see that teamwork and friendships here. Obviously, the two front runners here, Parker White and Brady Weileman, 1-2 in qualifying. they're really good friends on the iRacing service. They've proven their strength on super speedways. But we also have a bunch of strength by number teams, such as Deal Media Racing, who has quite a bit of drivers in the field tonight. So that's going to be one of the dynamics that goes into this play race tonight, and that's just one of the more exciting things.
And just before we go green down on the back straightaway, it's better to give you a better glimpse of what this racetrack is like. Of course, no introduction for the Daytona International Speedway, but here are the KBRN Track Map with images provided by Google Earth. You take a look down at the Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles, 4 turns. It's located in Daytona Beach, Florida. 31 degrees in the turns, tri-oval about 18 degrees. Our back straightaway is about 2 degrees all the way in the back, so relatively flat down there here at the World Center of Racing. Down off of turn 4, the field doubled up behind Parker White and Brady Weileman will try to take the green flag for the first time tonight. The pace car will make itself down a pit road, and we are Bundren Lawn Care Series racing in the clash. We are green.
Starting to line up on the back ready for the first time. Dominic Cowell helps up top with help from Liam Sheen. Here comes Brady Weileman looking 3 wide. Blocking up front, Dylan Alt in that number 42 car. Tries to get up. He's 4th on the high line.
Brady Weileman, who started 2nd, he's now fouled up to 3rd on the outside lane as Dominic Cowell and Liam Sheen took advantage of that first lap, and now they are to 2 leading this outside group. And already we're seeing a lot of drivers filing into this group already. I expected a lot more separation from when we started this event, but it seems as though that all of these drivers are already in their groups, starting to find each other out on the racetrack, specifically the teammates that we'll see, the team agents that'll be a topic of conversation all speed weeks long. You saw Dominic Cowell now move to the inside lane, so new leader, number 30 down the back straightaway.
One of the things about this series and this race is one faster pair, so a lot of these guys are going to be racing with no forgiveness here because they do have that cushion. Looks like Brady Weileman stuck in the middle, and here comes, I believe, Liam Sheen on the outside.
So Liam trying to make something work up there, but meanwhile, Dylan Alt in the number 42 has found something up there on the 3rd lane up top with Aaron Mulrooney and champion Blaze McKinney to follow along in 3 in tow and just very close up to the outside wall. Not sure how they kept that all straight, but they're still green around as Howe leaves them around. Brady Weileman's going to shoot up to the top, and that leaves the middle for Liam Sheen to try to continue to lead.
Very wide racing already on lap number 3. It looks like Brady Weileman tried to hop up top and tried to get around that number 36 of Liam Sheen, but those high 2 lanes are stalling right now as that bottom by at least 5 cars are clear for the lead and they can try to run away with it.
And you see as they start to form in, Charlie, about how racing at Daytona is with this package specifically. As you see Dylan Alt kind of tap the wall a little bit there right in front of Aaron Mulrooney. They keep it green though, no harm, no foul. But a big thing about the speed weeks here is just how much you can really gain on the draft, especially with this high downforce package. We're talking about 550 horsepower, tapered spacers on these NASCAR Cup Series machines, and all that high downforce with the large splitter, the large spoiler there as well. So anything in terms of the aspects that go in with these types of races is just how much these drivers can really pack up to each other, how much they can really get onto each other, and how much really they can gain in the draft. As you see in the draft, Liam Sheen has gotten up to the race lead barely in turn 3. They'll still be side by side as he's got help from Latham Jordan, the number 3 machine behind.
Yeah, and as described by a lot of the drivers in this field and in real life, the runs in these cars are just so fast, and it's almost too much.
Whoa, we got a crash in the back. Nick Miller around in the number 9 machine. Caution waves for the first time this evening. Got a pretty large wreck down entering the tri-oval. You see the 06 of Patterson joining right back into the fray. A caution to bring out things on lap number 5 of the 45 lap event. Still a lot of drivers involved. You see everybody starting to slow their race cars down. And I think it must have started with Nick Miller there in the number 9 machine. He got spun around in front of the field. We'll take a replay. I'm not sure exactly where this specifically started. See, actually still trying to get a look at what really happened there. Still some drivers filed through. Here's a look from Jack DeAndre. I think he had a better look at what this might have been. Maybe, actually, really cannot get a look. probably happened there on the trial. Let's look here. This is from Sartaj Mountain. This is a little bit further up. There's Brady Weileman.
Oh, looks like JJ Hill just came off the top into Nick Miller. That was what initiated the incident.
Here's a look. There it is. I think JJ Hill, yeah, he did get into Nick Miller. This is from Brady Weileman. Can't really get anything on the drivers behind. But you see here, 54 gets down. I think he might have been caught 3 wide there. And then all of a sudden, he's around on the racetrack, and then everyone gets involved. I think Jonathan Baker was involved, or Jonathan Jones, at least, the number 4 machine was involved. He got damage from that as well. So our caution out for the first time tonight on lap number 5. We'll signal the yellow flag and we'll re-rack the field. Parker White will be leading this field. I believe Dominic Howe did go down pit road. Indeed he does, and actually everyone does. Liam Sheen, you see Cole Williams there. Lots of drivers feeding down the pit lane.
Yeah, well, this will practically secure them to the end. The fuel run here was about 40 to 50 laps, so you know it's kind of a break for these guys because now they don't have to worry about fuel for the rest of this. So you know, either way, if you're pacing out front, you can just coast your car and save a bit that way. But a lot of guys just taking the safe option, and you see them on the apron trying to save that fuel, taking the shorter way around the racetrack.
Yeah, and that's what you really just mentioned. Drivers just trying to save there, and you see when the car's flat, when they're not on the banking, that gives the opportunity for drivers like the ones that did stay out. Just about 4 drivers who did stay out: Parker White, Eli O'Quinn, Brady Weileman, Shane DiMantova, the 4 drivers, and the 3 Camrys, 1 Mustang that did stay out on the racetrack. And you see Dominic Howe, Joseph Costello, all the other drivers who made their way down pit road. They are now joining the fray as well. And we're probably going to take a little bit more before we get back to the green flag very, very shortly. Just a reminder that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the booth, you can do so using hashtag AskKBRN. And you can ask any question you like to us up in the booth, of course, with an appropriate reason. And just put hashtag AskKBRN with your question, and you can ask anything you like. Actually got one by GS Warriors 30_24. He asks, caution over under. And now we just got our first yellow of the evening. Charlie, you think what might be the caution over under? You think we might have more yellows? You think you might have less? What's your kind of what's your perspective, at least, for the yellow flags tonight?
It's more of a prediction question, but I'm gonna have to say I think we're gonna get under 4.5 cautions tonight. You know, I have faith in a lot of these guys. They've been running really good all season, and that last caution was just a small driver mistake. So, I think I think less than that.
Yeah, certainly might be. So we have our first yellow lap number 5. If we continue this way, we'll have a lot of cautions to our belt once we get to lap number 45. I don't think we'll have another quick yellow like this. I think we'll still stay green from now on. We did see the drivers fairly packed up together. That was really the reason why. And JJ Hill was kind of forced in the middle, got stuck, really had nowhere to go, then got into Nick Miller. And then Miller's around. They are both 27th and 28th on the racetrack, respectively. Leaves getting their faster pair, like you did mention, Charlie, earlier. 1 given out to these drivers tonight, and I believe it'll stay 1 throughout the actual season itself when we go points racing and when we try to go all the way to the championship race at Phoenix Raceway. Dash Juke actually asked a question. He asked a relatively simple question. He asked, how are you guys doing? Charlie, what are your thoughts right now?
I'm doing all right. School's rough, but we're here tonight for an iRacing race, so I'll enjoy it the best I can.
Yeah, school has been rough, and I know school recently started for a lot of people, specifically in August, maybe September, maybe a little bit later, depending on where that person lives, but it's been rough. But I have been waiting for the Bundren Lawn Care Series for a while, ever since we ended the season at Phoenix back in August, and I've been waiting about a month and a half. So we've been waiting for a long time, and finally getting back to the action every single Monday here on the KBueno Racing Network. Pace car has its lights off, and it did have its lights off within the past lap, so it will go down pit road. It'll be Parker White and Eli O'Quinn, Toyota Camry and a Ford Mustang, going back to the tri-oval, and we're back under green on lap number 8.
Eli O'Quinn up top with help from Aaron already. 2 Ford Mustangs there with the Toyota Camry of Dylan Alt right behind them. They're trying to get a lot of ground, but those 2 buddies on the bottom line, they're not going to separate from each other at all. I can tell you that with full confidence. Brady Wheelman and Parker White work very well together, and we're already looking up the middle with help from Dylan Alt.
Maroney found his way to the middle. He got out of the way of Eli O'Quinn. Now he's going to have Dylan Alta help. Dominic Howell is also going to join the party. Glenn Bundren is also there. And Latham Joyner will assist them on the middle groove. Meanwhile, the inside is kind of a 4-car train, and it's a little bit of separation before you get a little bit behind in the 17 of Cole Woody, then Nick Miller. They are 3 wide, though, behind as Miller, actually, at Maroney and White continue to battle at 3 wide, a little bit up top behind.
Yeah, people like Miller have nothing to lose anymore, or especially in this class when it's not a point race, but he did use his fast repair. So he is running with no cushion, basically. So he can go up there, he can do whatever he wants, but if he does get caught up in another incident, he has no help.
Rooney gets the edge in a turn 3. That most likely will give him the lead, and indeed so. So new race leader, Aaron Mulrooney, did the same thing that Dominic Howe did early in this race before we had that yellow at lap number 5. So he does the same thing. Now Alt will have that push. As another wreck on the entrance of the tri-oval. Liam Sheen is involved. I think Cole Williams might have been involved. Caution is out again. They're wrecking down to the tri-oval. Aiden Kirker's involved. Cole Woody's involved. Another big smash from up here on lap number 10. And Joseph Costello gets in with late. Damage to a lot of race cars.
Again on lap number. Yeah, lap number 10.
Oh man, huge wreck. I believe it did start with Liam Sheen. I think he got hooked on the entrance of the tri-oval. Again, another wreck we see on the entrance of the tri-oval off of turn 4. This is the most I've seen already in that specific part of the course. We'll take a replay and see what specifically happened here. Exit at turn number 4. Here's 3 wide. And right there, it all starts.
Yeah, just ran out of room there for Liam Sheen. Looked like Dave who just kind of came down into his lane there.
Aiden Kirker also got involved in here as well. I believe he also had a shot. There's the 17 of Cole Woody who went around. I think Eli O'Quinn also got a piece of that as well. Jacob Tyler May got a piece of that. Here's an extra look. You see, they were 3 wide again and then just got tight together. And then the 82 gets into the 36. 23 gets hooked along as well. He gets tagged. You see drivers going through the grass. There's Cole Woody and Aiden Kirker around.
Liam Sheen doing his best Toe Mater impression. He was riding backwards for almost a football field.
Yeah, it was tough for Liam Sheen. He was up there at the front of this field. But now, as you see, the leaders have decided to make their way down pit road, but Parker White does not win it this time around. Dominic Howe gets the better of all of them and gets over to the front. But I think, actually, no, Parker White did get it back. So he will be the race leader, or at least he actually won't be the race leader. He'll be second to Corey Hartz, who stayed out on the racetrack. So Parker will win the race off pit road. Dominic Howe will be second. Aaron Mulrooney will be third on that exchange. JJ Hill, I believe, also did stay out on the racetrack. So we'll have about 2 cars that'll line themselves out. JJ, though, with enormous damage to that race car. So Corey Hartz will stay out solo. He will be the Proximity Racing driver. And Proximity, one of the teams that's coming back into the season, fielded a handful of cars last season. We saw, obviously, I believe Corey Hartz represented Proximity. Actually did represent PPM before their closure. Saw Hunter Johnson there as well, Proximity Racing driver. And just one of the numerous teams, Charlie, that we've seen throughout the season. The team changes and so many things happening. We saw the development of U Media Racing, McGrath Simsport with Parker White coming to the spotlight after Parker had a phenomenal season just short of the championship last year. Blaze McKinney, our previous champion, is teamless after the closure of SPG. So he's back to the Chevy Camaro. Chris Lee Designs, he is still without a team yet, but holding on for his own, trying to defend his own title.
Yeah, a lot of team shuffling went on over the offseason. I believe Blaze McKinney signed to Sim Performance Group just a few weeks before the season ended, and they shut down at least a few weeks ago. So, he's teamless right now, and Proximity Racing also kind of jumped on that opportunity and picked up some drivers such as Sartaj Mount, Corey Hartz, Derek M. Smith, Andy McDowell. 3 out of 4 of those were used to be on Sim Performance Group. So, a lot of team shuffling.
Yeah, I'm very convinced we will continue to see more teams shuffle out. We'll see more drivers getting into different seats throughout this throughout the season, especially through the point season. I was talking with Glenn, Glenn had a live stream on Instagram a little bit earlier on the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series account that we were talking about what we were expecting for some drivers, especially with a lot of free agents. Shane DiMantova was one of them. Blaze McKinney also. Glenn Bundren was a free agent for a short time before finding himself in 219 Racing, so he actually does have a team to represent. We saw Brody Garner go to SPM. Lots of drivers changing hands, and I did say, at least Glenn and I thought, we had the same opinion that at least Blaze, within a month or within the first couple of races of the season, he will end up at a team somewhere. Not sure whether he'll just join a team reluctantly or a team will offer him and he'll accept, but I believe he'll find his place somewhere, at least within this season. We'll hopefully see him on a team and with some drivers to help along. And even though he had the closure of SPG, there's still a lot of drivers he still is familiar with. Aaron Mulrooney right in front of him. He's friends with him. He was former teammates with him. They still get along very well. A lot of the SPG drivers like Andy McDowell, Sartaj Mon, they all know each other well from being on the same team. So look for that and keep your eyes peeled for as we continue through this race. After our second yellow, it's Corey Hartz and Parker White will lead them back to the green flag. We'll see if we get another 5 laps before a yellow, as Sartaj Mon got a little bit closed there in the middle on the entrance of the trioval to the green flag, but nonetheless, we're back under green on lap number 13.
2 proximity racing teammates on the bottom, Dominic Howe and Corey Hart. Here comes Brady Wheelman trying to bring his way back through the field. But up top, I can tell you that. I can tell you this, that they're going to get a run all the way down the back straightaway. Parker White could clear them for the race lead with help from him.
Nick Miller has a damaged race car. He almost got into somebody there on the bottom. He was letting everybody by as a lap car. You see a lot of guys changing positions around back there, swerving all over the racetrack, but they're still 2 by 2, about all the way down up until about 8th place or 9th place until you get to Brody Garner and Jack DeAndrea. But even then, they're still 2 by 2 in the back. Meanwhile, Dominic Howe continues to push Corey Hartz up to the front, but it's still a charge up top. And really what we're seeing tonight, Charlie, already within these short amount of laps is just how good the outside lane can be. If you're a driver, you know how much the inside line can check up, especially on these super speedways, and with drivers trying to maintain themselves from getting their engines overheating and eventually almost blowing up their race cars from being too close to the driver in front of them. But we're seeing the outside line get a huge line as lots of drivers checking up. I believe we're 3 wide behind where Blaze McKinney's at.
And I'm looking, oh, contact back there. Jack DeAndrea almost around. Looks like they're going to save it. Contact from behind.
Oh, I think we do have a crash, and we do. Yellow flag is out. Huge pileup. Keelan Belch is involved. The number 5, I believe that Jacob Tyler May is involved. No, the 10, yeah, he is involved. The number 5 was a different driver. That was Henry Tabor involved. Boy, another quick yellow. And these are all within about 4 to 5 laps we're seeing. Not even a longer run, not even shorter runs. We're just having yellows around the same amount of time. I'm going to take a replay. Exactly what might have been the cause of this one, and I believe it did start with Jack DeAndrea a little bit further back. We'll take a look at him. There were 3 wide up here, and then all of a sudden everything breaks loose there with Glenn Bundren.
Yeah, I think Glenn was focusing on pushing the 87 and the 55, kind of pushing from behind, got them all scrolled up, and further wreck ensued.
This is Keelan Belch up ahead. And actually just gets out there and ends up in the wreck. Nick Miller gets involved there as well. Peter Kenny gets in there late after just trying to get in the middle of those 2 in the 3. And then JJ Hill also gets a piece of that as well. Caution out though once again on lap number 15. And just another one of those cases. We're seeing a lot of this trample from 3 wide action. We're seeing drivers getting those pushes, and it's not really the best push, and then they end up getting loose as actually surprise call. Everybody actually besides Brady Weileman and Parker White make their trip down pit road, so an interesting split here early as we've got these yellows spurred in the mix. So Weileman stays out. Parker White also stays out. I believe Shane DiMantova, Paul Granado, also drivers that have made their way out of pit road. They did not actually go down pit road, so they will stay out as well. And we'll have about 4 more cars that are stayed out on the racetrack, maybe save some fuel along the way, and then we'll have everybody else. Dominic Howe has made his way out pit road. He just won that race. Blaze McKinney second, and Hunter Rupp third. Corey Hartz, who led everyone down pit road, or led most of the field down pit road. He is actually 4th off of pit road on that exchange. Got another question that asks, do you think these quickie yellows are a byproduct of everyone knowing it's not for points? I think that's a relatively good question, Charlie, that even though this race is still a race, obviously, there's no points at hand, there's no championship, there's nothing really to be gained that much other than maybe a win and some bragging rates along the way, but do you think that might be a byproduct of why we're seeing aggressive racing and a lot of yellows early?
Yeah, definitely, and also with the fact we're bringing in a faster pair, and that's a debate for later. But you know, I think in the main 200-mile race, I think there will be a lot more conservatability that these guys are going for, because it is the beginning of the entire point season. If we get a full field, those are valuable points. So everyone just kind of wants to have a good run and be there at the end. So, you know, I think when it comes around to the 250, it's going to be a lot more conservative for some of these guys up front.
Yeah, especially when you go to these front runners, guys like Parker White, who played a lot of that conservative strategy. Again, there are numerous times in last season where I have seen, or we have seen, at least in the broadcast, Parker White stay in the back, kind of lean, kind of be laid back in the early portions of the race, and then by the time the end of the race comes through, you get those late yellows or even anything, pitch strategy down the line. Parker White has been that driver to be up through this field at that point, and he's been able to find his way back up front, even though he had that conservative approach early in the race. He was most of the time 15th through about 20th, and then he would come back up to the field and be in the top 5, top 10. So that's been one of the cases for especially drivers like Parker White, maybe Blaze McKinney also along the way, although he's been relatively strong all year long last season. And drivers also like Glenn Bundren, Nick Miller, those are all drivers who made the championship for last season at Phoenix Raceway. There were some of the drivers we have been noting all season long, and they came up, those four met at Phoenix Raceway. They battled it out, and we crowned the champion there. But back to this conversation. We're now, I believe, just about almost, I'd say, halfway through this race, about lap 17 of 45. So still a long way to go. We had those yellows early already. We're going to take a look at the weather, see exactly what our conditions are right now. An air temp of about 77 degrees out on the track, and wind direction up to the north with the wind speed at about 2 miles per hour. So I don't believe the wind is affecting these drivers too much on their aerodynamic machines. No fog or no percentage of fog, and our conditions in the sky are clear. So we're set to go green pretty much all the way through unless we continue to have these yellows throughout. Brady Wileman and Parker White at the front of this field. So off turn number 4, it'll be Parker White and Brady Wileman going to lead the field to the green flag as the pace car makes its dive down to the pit road, makes its left-hand turn. Brady Wileman will lead the field back to the green flag, an early jump and an early move to the inside lane. He'll leave everybody at bay with Paul Granata leading the group to the outside, but we're back under the green flag as they're starting to settle out together.
Single fire 6 cars back, but here comes the 04 of, I believe that is Paul Granata. He's getting help from the 82 of Cole Williams out back, almost looking 3 wide. Is that Shane DiMantova? I think that is Plate Racing Guru up the middle, or high side.
And we saw Shane DiMantova do the same move like that, had a huge one at Talladega that gave him the victory, and his only victory last season in the Bundren Lawn Care Series came with a move like that. Got hooked up with the right people, got the right draft on the back straightaway, and now he's on the verge of taking the race lead here on lap number 18. Coming to lap number 19, he's got a huge shove from the 30 of Dominic Howe, who has been helping a good amount of these drivers tonight. And he has been strong in the draft, especially working that high side line. He's been a patron up there with Blaze McKinney. Now Paul Granata will be 4th, but Brady Wileman still holding on to the lead, barely off turn 2.
Shane DiMantova led that lap by 12 hundredths of a second there, but side by side down the back straightaway with the nose out front. Dominic Howe, obviously a renowned plate racer. He's very, very good. Also, Blaze McKinney behind them. So a good couple guys on the high side, but also a good couple guys on the bottom side.
Oh, and Brady Wileman got a little bit loose. He's going to end up behind the field, but actually he's going to go down pit road as Shane DiMantova's turned around in the front straightaway. I don't believe there's a yellow as everyone stays straight, but now, no, actually the caution does come out. Yellow flag once again, lap number 20. We're still seeing these 5-lap increments before we get yellow flags. And once again, we find ourselves under the yellow once again as that flagman really having to work every single 5 laps. I think he's already got it pulled out in rhythm, knowing that there's so many yellows tonight so far. But caution out once again. We'll take a look. I believe it did start with Brady Weileman, but it actually really started with Shane DiMantova, who got turned in the front of the field. Take a replay, see exactly what might have went down. So you see here, about there he gets there, but I think he gets tagged here trying to go back to the bottom. It's in a contact with Parker White.
There was more crashing up there.
Yeah, there was more crashing up front. Hunter Rupp got turned around. You see he's in the middle of all this, and he gets into Blaze McKinney. Up into the outside wall. Did he collect anyone else? Actually, no. Well, he kind of did with Jonathan T. Jones, but he goes around. That's the reason the yellow flag was actually waved, I believe. It was him spinning up on the tri-oval. But that's the reason we had that yellow flag. Take a look at Jonathan Jones is on board. Our immediate onboard camera right in the tri-oval, trying to slow down. Oh, barely got by. So he's now down into the pit lane trying to get some damage fixed. Dominic Howell, though, will be your leader. Blaze McKinney kind of had some damage. I believe he has a crinkle on the rear end, if I'm not mistaken, from that contact with that race car that went up the track. Hunter Rupp in the number 1 machine. Paul Granada also scooped by. I think Parker White kind of fell back to 5th. I think he does have a little damage after that contact with Shane DiMantova. But again, another yellow flag to couple this one more time. But I got a question once again by GS Warriors, or Francisco at least. He asked, best attempt of a mid-race report even with all the yellows. I think we might cover this after the pit cycle because these drivers are going down pit road. Dominic Howell led them all down. So Blaze McKinney, Paul Granada, Aaron Maroney, they're all down pit road. I think Sartaj Mon was the only driver to stay out, or one of the only drivers to stay out. Actually, Cole Woody stays out as well. Those drivers did stay out. I think they're the only to stay out as they're all down pit road. Corey Hartz will be the one to come out first, so he will win the race off pit road. And everybody coming out, Charlie.
Suffering a little bit here, but yeah.
There's Shane DiMantova, I believe, getting damage fixed. Although he suffered a lot less than a lot of the other drivers in this track. He kind of just went for a ride in the grass. I don't think he really went back up to the racetrack, but he's down pit road. You see the 06 of Patterson with a torn up race car. Jonathan Jones, I believe that's Keelan Belsha back there in the number 18 machine. They're down pit road as well. Everybody getting their service and trying to get their damage fixed after a lot of yellows to bring in what we have so far. Gonna get through our mid-race report, and we'll start, I guess, with Sartaj Mon, who stayed out in the pit lane, and he is one of the stealthier drivers. We really haven't seen him up front too much tonight, but it's kind of paid off so far because he stayed out. He went through that strategy. Now he's back up to the front. He's going to be most likely leading this field to the green should nothing change. And 49, one of the recent drivers to join Proximity Racing's group after the closure of SPG. He went through a ride within the past couple of months. It was on Peak Performance Motorsports, and then the closure of that happened. Then he went over the SPG. And then after SPG's closure, he's found himself at Proximity Racing, and now he's going to be with them. So in the lead right now, Sartaj Mon trying to hold it for now.
Right behind Cole Woody, kind of a familiar face in the last season of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. Picked up a few top 5 finishes, especially later in the season. So Cole Woody really shows his strength in top split racing, and I'm sure he'll show his strength throughout this season. But currently sitting second, started 9th, and is currently a restart on the front row.
In a third is the driver we've seen give the best pushes all night so far. Dominic Howell in the number 30 machine has been aggressive up front, but he has not torn up his race car, at least just for the moment. He's kept a clean Toyota Camry so far, and he's done a great job of maintaining himself up front, being a presence up there. I think a lot of drivers, when they're in the front of this field, they know Dominic Howell's going to be up there pushing somebody, most likely on the top. So we'll see how he does within this next restart.
Going to restart in the 4th position. Barberton Raceway U.S. Legend Cars Division champion Aaron Mulrooney swept the entire season, and he'll sit up on the high side. Very notable top split racer in the ICE car divisions and a few other notable leagues. So Aaron Mulrooney, good pusher as well, coupled with Dominic Howell. I believe he is teamless right now, actually, following the closure. He was a director at Sim Performance Group, but started 8th, going to restart 4th, change 4 spots.
Mitch Hobbs behind. He'll be in 5th position. I think that's as far as we'll go since they're in 3 and 4 now. The 1 to green signal. But Mitch Hobbs, also driver laying in the back in this race. He's made his way up after a lot of carnage up front, but he's found himself with a clean race car, so he's back up here. Mitch Hobbs, a pretty notable driver within last season. We've seen him up front. We've seen him in the top 10, top 15 in a good chunk of races, so hopefully he can carry this into season number 3, and we'll see exactly how he does. But meanwhile, Sartaj Maan and Cole Woody will be the 2 drivers to lead this field back to the green. Will we have another quick yellow? We'll just have to find out. So pace car down at pit road, and we're back under green from Daytona.
And it is worth noting that Cole Woody does have a bit of front end and rear end damage, so we'll see how that really affects him. So that'll allow the 30 and the 49, 2 proximity racing teammates to come back up. Mitch Hobbs, another late racer who's had a couple good finishes in the ISCAR Super Speedway Series. He'll be 4th in the line on the bottom side.
And I believe they're almost 3 wide as they're looking down to the back straightaway, and you can see the fray of cars there as Dominic Howe gets shoved up to the front by Mitch Hobbs, found his partner, and they too have gone to the front of this field. 1-2, Dominic Howe and Mitch Hobbs. They're 3 wide behind, though. Parker White got shuffled to the middle line, and you see Sartaj just holding for 3rd at the moment. Peter Kenny also there as well. Henry Tabor working to the inside, but it's 4 cars up top.
4 cars on the bottom side who are clear of the high line, but Peter Kenny knows his way to victory lane, and that same exact number 35 race car, he won the ISCAR Daytona 250 just, I believe, just a week ago. So he knows his way here definitely, and took the checkered flag, leading 1 lap at the white flag.
And that's the thing about Prairie races like this, or really any race for that matter, is a lot of drivers shuffling down on the back straightaway. Peter Kenny made a move, Brady Wildman made a move up top, and then almost collected. Brody Garner almost had contact with him almost near the outside retaining wall, but Peter Kenny is going to push the 49 of Sartaj Maan almost to the front. We'll see if this continues to be successful, but also, like you mentioned, the last lap, only led 1 lap in that race in the ISCAR 250 is Parker White's loose around on the racetrack. Will he turn around? And he is around on the exit of the tri-oval. Caution waves again. Lap number 26. This time, I believe, just a solo car incident. Man.
I'm going to replay what happened here. Looks like just exiting the tri-oval. They were all 5 in line. Looks like that 5 car, I believe Henry Tabor, got them all loosey-goosey there. Bit of damage to the 87 and the 51 cars, but everyone else behind did a good job of avoiding it.
Look here, here's a better shot from the top, and you see Brady Wildman was giving the push. Peter Kenny almost had contact with the 49 up front. But then you see here, Henry Tabor just slides up the 95, just trying to eagerly save that race car. He gets him to the 87. Backs it down, just locks up the brakes in the middle as he's spinning, but luckily no one else involved, so he's the only car to be in this incident, and that's the sole reason for the yellow flag. Once again, a lap number 27. Boy, lots of yellows that we're seeing within about 5 or so laps. It's staying maintained, and it's staying consistent, where we're seeing 5 laps a yellow, 4 to 5 laps another yellow, then we continue on to that same trend. It really has not changed. We haven't seen a longer run so far, so it's just kind of that sprinkle of action, and then a resting period, and then another amped up action, and then more resting after that. It's kind of like a failing workout, I'd say. But how about that push though from Mitch Hobbs, Charlie? Dominic Howe got a whale of a push down, I believe, the back straightaway into turn 3. They found that 89, and they were just stuck like glue. And they found themselves to the front. First time we see 2 drivers in that tandem go up to the front, as opposed to usually Mitch Hobbs possibly pushing Howe up to the front, and then Howe taking over the inside lane instead of them both together. So very, very interesting. But what's more interesting is that Howe makes a trip down pit road. Hobbs and Maan decide to stay out, and they are electing to stay out on the racetrack. Aaron Maroney also did as well. Cole Woody, Peter Kenny, Henry Tabor are drivers to go down pit road, as well as Blaze McKinney. So pit road is, I think every yellow, it's relatively full.
Yeah, and you mentioned that push that Dominic Howe and Mitch Hobbs performed down the back straight. That's just the power of these pushes here. Once you get 2 cars versus 1 car, you're going to soar around them, and that's just one of the things about this Super Speedway rules package that's really different from when we were racing here back in 2015, 2014.
Yeah, it's a way different package, and it's really changed the game up on these NASCAR Cup Series cars, and just how interesting it's been to see. And we've already covered our fair share of plate races. Obviously, we did cover the start of the season, the Bundren Lawn Care Series season in Season 2. We covered their initial Daytona opening race. We covered the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series initial race. We've seen the Talladega races. We've seen our visit back to the Daytona International Speedway when we went for LWRC. I believe that was our last plate race that we did see. And we've all seen different things. We've seen shorter fields. We've seen very large fields. We've seen races like these where we see so many yellows. We've seen races that have expanded into the long runs like we saw in the Bundren Lawn Care Series Season 2, mixed in with some yellows. We've seen some drivers in dramatic entrances, dramatic exits, huge wrecks, and lots of things that compile. That's just a thing when you go here at the plate tracks. Just really nothing to predict. You can't really predict anything at all, and I'm assuming right now here it's staying unpredictable as cautions continue to wave tonight. But at least now, within you see this field, you're seeing a lot of these drivers. They have raced in this season before. Some of them have been later entries like Nick Miller. Some of them have been there since day one like Blaze McKinney or Glenn Bundren. Is there really kind of an interesting mix? How interesting really is this mix of drivers, or how many notes can you really take on a lot of these drivers as they're in this class, they're working for kind of a win right now, but ultimately they'll be at Daytona in 2 weeks here fighting for points and a win and money along the way. So yellow flag still waving, and we've got the 1 to green signal, so that is good news. So we have Mitch Hobbs and Sartaj Maung going to be the drivers on the first row. Aaron Maroney will be out into the second row with Brady Weileman in fourth. Brody Gardner will be sitting in the third row along with Shane DiMantova. And then you see Paul Granata, Corey Hartz, and a lot of these drivers who made their trips down pit road. They're going to be back out onto the racetrack. Got a question by Nitro XP. He asked, is it steamy in the booth? Well, hopefully we have air conditioning. I hope so. Very bad joke, but still. I'd say I don't know what really. I think the only person to really be sweating right now is the flag man. He's had a lot to work tonight. I think he's been impatient pushing that green and yellow flag every now and then. I think he's had his. I think he better get a raise for tonight's action. Actually,
it's arm day for him, so it's just your normal average day.
Yeah, well, we'll see. As the pace car comes down pit road, we'll have Mitch Hobbs and Sartaj Maung leading this field back to the green flag. Hopefully we stay green from here on out, but at least with these drivers packing in together, it's still not into the question as we're side by side into turn number 1, but nonetheless, still contentious as Weileman tries to push the 49 up to the front.
Mitch Hobbs holding his ground, but we're going to see this run up top with the 51 and the 49. Trying to clear him out there. A few cars dropping to the back. That's Blaze McKinney. And I believe Peter Kenny. 2 cars fresh off of their fast repairs.
Remember, they're trying to keep that stagnant because if they expect another yellow, they do not want to be a part of that, because if they get any more damage, that's it. They'll just have to go for optional or required repair down pit road. They won't have the fast repair to pull the trigger on to save them from any damage that they'll spend extra time on pit road for. But meanwhile, I think Brody Gardner's found his way to the top, but also Sartaj Maung found trust in that number 55 machine. So we're 3 wide in row number 3 behind them.
They were expecting Brady Wheelman to just get shuffled to the back, but no, Dominic Howe goes right up to his rear bumper, and that's going to hurt those 2 on the outside lane. Able to slot in here, and Josh Patterson sitting right behind them. But Aaron Maroney is clear for that high line. He could jump if he wanted to, but I think those front 2 cars have a lot of trust in each other.
There's a better look down the back straightaway where you see these 4 cars in Hobbs, Mulrooney, DiMantova, and Paul Granata with help from Corey Hartz behind. They have now shot up to the front of this field, and no challenge from Brady Weileman up top. Howe also finds his space down to the bottom, so it's just Weileman trying to find support, but I don't think he's got it. Actually, now he does for just a moment as DiMantova looked a little bit high, but thought better of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shane DiMatteo is saving his fast car, if he has it, or if he used is out of it basically. But we have 3 cars hopping up to the high lane. They're going to easily clear Mitch Hobbs for the race lead. 2 ex-teammates there, the 2 on the 20, Air Rooney and Shane DiMatteo used to race for the Performance Group division. Shane DiMatteo turns left. Air Rooney throws a block, and he'll maintain the race lead.
Oh, that was very close, but Dominic Howe has found his way to the high side where he's been so strong. I think you really can't count out that 30 machine. He's been clean all night long. He's been aggressive, but he's been effective as well. And he's found help now with the outside line with the 51 and the 06 to help. The 57 and 49, 55, 9 all the way back. Just about, I'd say, 7 cars on that top side compared to 6 on the bottom, spread by 3.
Shane DiMatteo backing off a little bit. That's going to help the high line try to surge forward. 3 cars all tucked up together. That's the 30 of Dominic Cowell, 51 Brady Whelan, and the 06 of Josh Patterson. But here comes a couple more cars. 2 Proximity Racing teammates going up top. Brody Garner, also one of those Proximity Racing cars.
Brody Garner trying to make his way up there. I think he may have it sticked, and he does. So up to the 3rd lane goes the 57. We haven't seen it be successful tonight so far, especially with the amount of yellows we've had and just how short it's been. But they are now gaining some traction. It's only 3 cars up there, so not sure whether they'll have the predominant run compared to the 4 that's underneath them and another 4 that's all the way to the double yellow line as they enter turn number 1. Howe, though, has the lead barely over Mulrooney.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this Skyline really is going to work. They're really the only car that I can think of that it's made it work in my experience is the Xfinity cars, but it's very, very tough. Each car is different. Brady Whelan hops up in front of Sartaj Man, tries to block. He's forced to push him. Brady Whelan could take the outside line here, going into turn 3.
3 wide for the race lead as Dominic Howe holds his position. Weileman gets turned into the front of the field. Up and over goes the 06 of Patterson. Garner involved. Huge crash. I think crashing more up front with Cole Woody. And a yellow out once again with just 11 laps to go. And a wild ride for the 06. My goodness. Went tumbling over the rest of the field. And again, we see another yellow flag. This time, they're taking way longer to get to that yellow flag, I believe. But unbelievable crash there. We'll take a replay. See exactly what happened. It all started with the 51, though, Brady Weileman. He got turned in the front of this field. Here's a look down the back straightaway. Makes his move. 3 wide for the lead. And then I believe he does get tagged by the 57 here into turn 3. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, just a bad push. Head on into the outside wall goes the 06 of Josh Patterson.
Oh, wow. Huge crash. Look at that. And Josh Patterson actually, take a look at the cockpit cam of Josh Patterson. This is his take on what happened here. Take a look.
Just in an instant, just snaps. Nothing, absolutely nothing a driver can do there.
Oh, and a huge wreck. Brody Garner also had damage. Glenn Bundren, you saw, had to really get out of that. I at least think there was more crashing up front, though, with Sartaj Man, the 49. I think the 06 at this point just gives up. And it goes straight into the inside wall there. Mulrooney maintains his lead for now. And we're back under the yellow flag with 10 laps to go. And I think now that we've been under so many yellows, I think it might be appropriate. I think we can try to get an interview, and we'll go with a driver who's kind of been in the back most of this race. Keelan Belsha in the number 18 machine, and we'll bring him in and exactly see what his thoughts are, at least for now. Keelan, welcome to the booth. I know this is a very random interview considering you're really not in this race anymore, but from what you've seen, what's really your take right now so far in this race?
They've been piling it up a little bit. I've seen a lot of wrecks so far, but this is just, you know, that exhibition rake, shake the kinks out, get ready for the next race to start off the season in a week. So I'm looking forward to it. But so far this race, I don't know. It's been fun to watch from up here. I've been going for about 10 laps, so I've been entertained so far. They had a good couple laps going before Patterson kind of flipped.
Yeah, and there was a lot of action going on. I believe you were involved in some incidents there, and there was a lot really to see. I know you had some of your teammates in here tonight. What was really the takeaway from this race that you can possibly use with your team going into the 200 and the opening race for points in 2 weeks' time?
We just got to work together. We didn't really get hooked up tonight like we wanted to. We had some guys starting up front, some guys in the back, but yeah, and then the wrecks didn't help us at all. We got caught up in the first one. A few of us didn't. It just shook us back all race. But I think the main takeaway we can take into next week is just to we all got to get together for this race next week, and if we all get together, we can probably have a decent run, have a shot at it at the end.
All right, Keelan, well, unfortunate end to your night, but of course this is for no points, so you'll be running in 2 weeks' time for the actual points and try to make your run for a championship in Season 4. We thank you for taking the time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Keelan Belsha, a member of View Media Racing. He's out of the booth for just a small interview. I guess he's in the interview trying to watch the race after he is out of this one, with now, I believe, just about 8 or so laps to go until we get to the green flag. Did get the pace car 1 a green signal, so we will be taking our green flag next time around. Got a question once again by Francisco. He asks, at this rate, will it finish in overtime? Charlie, do you have speculations that we might?
I think with the route we're going, I'll be honest, I think that we'll catch at least 1 or 2 more cautions till we get to the end of this thing, but just depends on the timing. So I guess, yeah, I'll go with, yeah, we'll probably push it into an overtime.
And if we do push it overtime, we'll have, I believe, 3 attempts at, considering with the officials having that in mind, we'll just about have 3 times around to get that green white checkered in and try to get the end of this race if we get to that point. Still not there, though. Still have a little bit of ways to go. If we do not have a yellow from here on out, we'll just stay green from there, and we'll just take our checkered flag and normally end this race, and we'll see if we get any yellows in certain parts, because if we do get a yellow with about, I'd say, maybe 5-6 laps to go, we could end up with an organic almost green white checkered restart, which it won't count as an attempt, I don't believe, unless it's extended. So we'll just have to see and keep our eyes peeled. We have seen a lot of yellows tonight within very short increments, so we're just going to try and see if that continues from here on out, and if we have any more cars torn up in the process. Meanwhile, though, it's another different look up to the front row. Aaron Mulrooney Jr. and Dominic Howe will be the first 2 to lead the field back to the green flag. We've seen Howe with strong runs. Will he have one again? We'll just find out.
Shady Bentoma giving a big push there, shuffled up into the number 30 of Dominic Howe with help. Good pusher right behind him. He almost turns him around there.
Oh, Mitch Hobbs getting fairly close to the number 30. They keep it straight, so we stay green. Nobody else got loose. I think the 20 of Shady Bentoma had a little bit of a moment with Dominic Howe. A lot of shuffling, though, behind. They're 3 wide as Bundren tries to make a move, but he's going to file out.
Looks like Mitch Hobbs is going to bail out. No, he won't. Having a tough time pushing up there, but 3 cars on the bottom, 3 XS Sim Performance Group teammates on the bottom, Nick Miller, Shane DiVincenzo, and Aaron Mulrooney. So these guys really have a feel for each other, and they know what they're doing. They just took the 6th lap to go. We'll see how it plays out.
Mulrooney does have the better shove with his former teammates, and Shane DiVincenzo and Nick Miller. Nick Miller, with that wreck early in this race, he's back into the action, now 3rd on the bottom line. So it's not over till it's over for a lot of these drivers, but Dominic Howe getting that nice push down the back straightaway. He's going to have something to say for these drivers in turn 3.
Yeah, all that matters is all the guys. I mean, they're even 4x4 up front here, so all that matters is just tucking up to the guy right in front of you and trying to push him out front. But looks like Dominic Howe will have the nose out front coming to the line here. He will, so maybe coming down with the white flag, that's all he needs to take the win here tonight.
And remember, last time, those 2, the 89 and the 30, made their dip down to the bottom, but this time they split it as Howe makes his move to the front. He takes over the race lead, but it's still not going to be comfortable for that 30 just yet, because we have seen that outside lane pick back up each and every time, and they have been trading positions ever since. And now a more organized group this time around. We saw a lot of shuffling, lots of separation, lots of drivers finding their own paths, but this time it seems as though we're finding a lot more organization. Maybe not with Glenn Bundren as he's trying something up the top, maybe 3 wide.
Yeah, we saw Paul Granado, who's currently tucked up behind Mitch Hobbs. We saw him take the win in the Ice Curse Super Speedway Series in the second half of the summer season. Same car, same track. So once again, another driver who knows what he's doing. And almost contact there, down a couple of the apron.
Oh, that could have been a yellow with Howe getting tagged by Mulrooney, but he saved it, so we stay under the green flag. Mitch Hobbs, I think, found a little bit of a run. I don't think it really benefited him too much, as though you'd expect with that 30 getting loose, you'd expect him to get a better run, as Hobbs is now getting a very sketchy push. They're going to make contact down the back straightaway. Here comes Blaze McKinney and Cole Williams in the third line.
Two Chevy Camaros up top going to try to help each other out, but we saw the proximity racing group of 3 or 4 try to make it work, but it just didn't. So a good bit of cars up front here. They're going to be racing for the win, and they're going to wrap around the 4 laps to go at Daytona.
4 laps to go. I think this is the longest run we've had all night long. You saw Paul Granata in the 04 tried to think of something up top to maybe block Blaze McKinney. They've got 3 cars up there now, so it's 3 versus 4 versus about 5 on the bottom line, led by Dominic Howe. Mitch Hobbs does have the better run off of turn 2, but Blaze McKinney is slowly creeping his way to the front.
I think Mitch is going to claim here. That bottom line got shuffled out. Cleared for the lead. Mitch Hobbs to the front. Almost took the win in another IceCar Super Speedway Series, but Blaze McKinney almost cleared for the second lane.
He's got it. He's got to look up top. There is certainly a formidable line as Miller and Brody Garner join. So 4 cars beating the cars up back as now they're wrecking up top. Somebody gets in there. I believe the 35 might have gotten up into the track, and everyone gets involved. Huge pile up on the exit of turn 4. Yellow flag with 3 laps to go. Oh, man. And a torn up race car practically for the 87.
We'll see what the cause of incident for that one was, but I can tell you this, a lot of guys are going to run out of fast repairs here.
Yeah, a lot of guys. You see this, 4 cars up top. Peter Kenny's in the middle with Paul Granata. There it starts. I think it tagged with the 04. 35 gets into it. Cole Williams gets tagged. Latham Joyner. Oh, the 17 of Cole Woody. You see the 1 of Hunter Rupp got involved. I believe it did start with the leading car in the middle lane and Paul Granata, because he was making his run. And you see, and we're looking at the chopper cam, you see them, they're 2 now in the middle as Miller moves up high. I think there's contact here between the 04 and the 2 car right there. Then it comes back up to the track. The 35 gets back over to the 87. Parker White's involved. And the 1 gets tagged in there. The 17 finds its way through. Huge pileup now, but this is definitely going to shoot us into green-white checker territory. So you were right. We would see yellows before the end of this race, and now it's taking into full effect. Man, so many yellows.
At number 44, the finish was just extended, so we're going to go for our first attempt out of 3.
Yeah, we'll take 3 attempts. It'll be our first now with the yellow with 3 laps to go, so no organic yellows this time around. We'll have Mitch at the front of the field, Mitch Hobbs, Dominic Howe second. Paul Granata will maintain his spot. He did not get involved in an incident, so he has no damage. I believe he did get off pit road as well. Glenn Bundren got off pit road. Guys like Blaze McKinney will have worse for wear. As you see a bunch of drivers damaged down there. There's Latham Joyner. There's 2 drivers who really haven't seen the rest of this race. There's Brody Garner getting out of pit road now. That's the 28 of Jack DeAndrea in the yellow-black car, and 54 of J.J. Hill behind him. They have suffered enough tonight. They have been through a lot for sure. I think it's the best time now with 3 laps to go to take a look at our Super Mix race summary. Or our race summary presented by Super Mix. Currently our leader is the 89 Go Bowling Ford Mustang of Mitch Hobbs. He's led just a handful of laps tonight after taking the race lead in tow with Dominic Howe. They have been the dynamic duo practically all night long. They've been working well together, especially within this final segment. We've completed 43 laps of the 45, but we will be extending this race. So now 3 laps remaining when we get back to the green flag. We have 15 lead changes so far, so we've had a lot of drivers made their way up to the front. Some drivers have suffered a lot, some drivers not. Some drivers staying up to the front, much like guys like Dominic Howe, Aaron Maroney, Brady Weileman. And we've had 7 cautions tonight with 17 laps under the yellow flag, and it's still counting with this yellow right at the moment. But Charlie, now we're in the creep section of this race. We're in the final 3 laps. We're in this final section. We're getting about to the finish. We just got the 1 to green signal by the pace car, so now we're dwindling this field a little bit. But in terms of strength, who has been the strongest driver for you right now that you're going to keep your eyes peeled out for in this green white checkered attempt?
I think we just had an incident on back. There's a car below the apron. I think they're good, though.
Well, I'm not sure who that might have been. In terms of strength, who are you looking out for right now in the screen red checker?
Well, I think a power duo would probably be the 30 and the 2 in terms of strength, but you know, it's really all hands in, and it's really a toss-up for the win, just 2 laps to decide a winner. So I think, you know, if that number 2 and that number 30 can get hooked up somehow, I think they're going to be really strong.
And Dominic Howe has done so well with drivers. Even drivers that maybe he wasn't working with all night long, he's found his way as Peter Kenny's zooming his way by. I think he's getting a wave around on the track. But Dominic Howe has been working well with about everybody so far. He's had different partners before. He had the 89 to work with, and he pushed him to the front. He's got a couple other drivers that he helped out. He's really been the driver to be open to everybody to help out and push on the racetrack. He has been good himself. But he has really yet to maintain the lead. He captured the lead shortly, but it really was not up to maintain, especially at a track like this, where really nothing is guaranteed. We'll just have to see how he does with green, white checkered territory. 3 laps to go. Our first attempt will start here with Dominic Howe and Mitch Hobbs at the front of this field, and we're back under green with our first attempt.
And like I said, look at those 2 up top already getting out front here. Maybe they can clear the 89 together, but I think Dominic Howe just jumps out first. Here comes Glenn Bundren in the car. This is the furthest I think we've seen him up front all race, helping the 2-car Van Marini.
It's the first time, yeah, we really do see Glenn Bundren at the front of this field, but a very bizarre sequence because it's just 2 drivers fighting with everyone down to the bottom. It's a fully formed lane with about 9 cars, 9 or 10 machines down to the double yellow line, while only 2 are up top, and Liam Sheen with a heavily damaged race car is leading a little bit further behind. They might end up catching up, though. We'll just have to see, but I think this might be the final attempt. We've reached the white flag one more time around for Dominic Howe.
I just don't see those 2 cars up top really getting a push up front unless they have some help, or maybe Mitch Hobbs looking up high. Maybe that can kind of propel them a bit forward, but I just don't see them succeeding with these 2 cars.
Into turn number 2 for the final time. It's a relatively good margin between Howe's front end and Maroney's front end, but here comes a bold move to the top. Mitch Hobbs has found his way to the top side. He's got help, and they're side by side into turn number 3.
Turn number 3 for the final time, side by side for the race lead. Parviano surges 4 on the bottom, but there's 3 cars up top, a couple cars unorganized on the bottom. Who's going to get back to the line first?
We'll see off of turn number 4. Will this be enough? They're kind of shuffling. Mitch Hobbs gets shoved up the track. Paul Granada has found his way to the bottom as they're going to the line. It's, I think Paul Granada, actually Dominic Howe gets the win barely over the 04 of Granada at the line. So Dominic Howe comes through and wins the Bundren Lawn Care Series Clash in season number 3. He's got a very damaged race car, though. Almost got wrecked on the end there. We'll take a replay, see exactly what happened. I'm not so sure how he really handled himself to the end there. Here's a look for 3 and 4. See, he pushes the 89. There he gets loose. The 04 finds his way to the line, and oh man.
Oh man, that was a close one. 5 thousandths of a second win between the 30 and the 04. The 04 was just so close.
You got to look at this one more time to the line.
And I think the 04 just needed that 30 to not to speak maliciously, but get turned on head on into the outside wall to really secure the win. But a very, very close finish.
Wow, that was the margin of victory right there for Dominic Howe. You see Mitch Hobbs there, 3 wide. Brady Wileman getting turned on the bottom. Glenn Bundren there on the apron. Wow. What a finish. Right there to the line. I was expecting that 30 to maintain himself on the bottom, but then he got that shove from Granada, and then all of a sudden it was 3 wide. Mitch Hobbs gets put there in the middle, but Dominic Howe celebrating. He does get out of his race car, though, with a damaged one at that, and what a victory there for Dominic Howe. Going to take a look at your race results, see exactly where everyone finished, and starting with Dominic Howe, the winner in the Bundren Lawn Care Series Clash for season number 3. Paul Granada, you saw the margin of victory, 0.005 for The 04 comes home second. Brady Weileman has a strong night tonight. Comes home in third in the plate race. Aaron Maroney, who had a presence up there late, finishes fourth. Glenn Bundren, the owner himself, finishes with the top 5 tonight. Mitch Hobbs, being strong in the end portion of that race, comes home 6th. Henry Tabor will wraggle back to a 7th place finish. Sartaj Mon in the 49 will come home 8th. Aiden Kirker comes home with a top 9. And Brody Garner in the 55 will be 10th after tonight's event.
Right outside the top 10, Shane DiMantova got turned for the race lead about halfway through the race, finishes 11th, just outside the top 10. Cole Woody 12th. Parker White 13th. Liam Sheen looking like a modified out there, finishes 14th. Cole Williams 15th. Peter Kenny 16th. And that'll round out your cars in the lead lap. Latham Joyner got stuck a lap down pretty much the entire race and just could not recover. Finishes 17th. Blaze McKinney ran out of fast cars 18th. Nick Miller 19th. Hunter Rupp 20th. That'll be your top 20.
And back to 21st on back. These are most of the damaged race cars that were out of this event. JJ Hill in the 54 saw his car on pit road. He finishes 7 laps down in 21st. Corey Hart's in the 57 will finish 22nd. Josh Patterson 23rd. 24th will come home to Keenan LaBelsha. We did interview him a little bit earlier in this race. Jack DeAndrea in the 28 comes home 25th. Jonathan Jones will be 26th. 27th belongs to Jacob Tyler May in the 10 machine. Eli O'Quinn will be 28th at the line. Andy McDowell finishes 29th. And rounding out the top 30 is Joseph Costello. And then these final 3, Dylan Alt, the 31st, 32nd, William Schmidt, and Sean Comerford, who I think William Schmidt and Sean Comerford did not start this race. So they are 32nd, 33rd in this grid. Going to take a short break, and as soon as we come back, we'll have all the post-race coverage as we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by STC. We'll have the interviews with the top 5, and of course, your winner in the class, Dominic Howe, comes home with a victory. So we'll have all those interviews and more on our takeaways going into the 202 weeks. We'll be right back. You're watching the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series Clash on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing in the Daytona International Speedway, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage, brought to you by SDC. It was a filled night of action, cautions, and a lot of chaos here for the Bundren Lawn Care Series clash here at Daytona International Speedway. After 45, or I think 46, extended with the green white checkered, we end up with a winner, and it was Dominic Howe, and the number 30 machine comes home with a victory. And in victory lane, we'll take a look and talk with him now, as we'll bring him into the booth here tonight. Dominic, first of all, you come into victory lane, and really what a race you had tonight. You seem to be the best pusher all night long, helping so many drivers up to the front, most notably in that final segment with you and Mitch Hobbs. And then coming to the end there, you have that shot at the win. You go 3 wide, and you barely edge Paul Granada by 0.005 seconds. First of all, just walk us through your night and how successful you were tonight.
I was planning to stay in the back the whole race until I saw that we had a faster pair. So I was like, you know what, we're going to stay up front. And stayed up front, pitted when I felt like I needed to pit, and just made sure I'd be there for the end, and didn't even have to use a faster pair. Just was ahead of all the wrecks, and probably made a stupid move coming to the line, but still ended up winning them.
And certainly still with a victory. Of course, no points, but this certainly does help you for sure going into the actual 200 and the points paying race, and obviously the season opener when we're back here at Daytona in 2 weeks. What seemed to be the biggest takeaway for you and your 30 team in this race, with the draft and all the things going around you, that you can use into the 200 in 2 weeks that can ensure your success and a possible win at that time?
From this race, I've been able to learn who can take a push, who can't push, and who can lead a line, and who I should definitely stay away from. Because some people, you could push them, and some people, you'd push them and they'd drift up in the corner, and sketchy stuff would happen. But I feel like I'm pretty familiar with how these cars drive here now, and I don't know, just being around people who I haven't raced around, I just need to be more comfortable with them.
Certainly still a lot to learn, but nonetheless, you come home with a win in the clash, Dominic. And before we let you go, is there any sponsors, teams, or just any shout out you'd just like to make to the people watching, or anyone else that made your run possible tonight?
No sponsors or teams here, but shout out to Aaron Mulrooney for being a good pusher, and Mitch for racing me pretty clean. It was a pretty good event.
Well, Dominic, we certainly thank you for the time, and we wish you but the best of luck at Daytona in 2 weeks, of course, here for the actual 200. So we hope to see you there, and of course, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. And congratulations, of course.
Yep, thank you.
Dominic Howe out of the booth. He is your winner in the Clash for season number 3. Going to kick back to P2, and the margin of victory 0.005 seconds, but nonetheless, Paul Granada rallies back to a P2 finish. He is trackside with Charlie Baier.
Hey, Paul, you got a copy?
I do have a copy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just watching you bring it home, just short of a win here. But you put yourself in a really good position on that green-white checkered, and you almost had a shot come to the white, but just lost by 0.005 of a second there. What more did you need there coming to the line to take the win tonight?
Honestly, I didn't expect to be that even that close. I honestly thought I was gonna get through it there when they ended up actually getting spun out there. But he would have got spun out maybe a couple seconds earlier. I definitely would have won that. But Josh was in my ear screaming the whole white flag. So, but yeah, was not expecting that.
All right, well, a good finish tonight is certainly going to translate into a bit of experience and momentum coming in the next week for our first points paying and quite literally paying race. We're going for $30 there. So what can you bring from this event into that event to try to put together another good run over there?
Honestly, depending if there's a fast repair or not. I ended up using mine way too early in this race because I got caught up in a wreck. But if there is one, definitely totally different strategy in this race. I'm definitely going to go hang out in the back for a little bit and get out of these big ones, because there was a lot of big ones and a lot of incidents that could have been avoided that people are not avoiding.
All right, well, Paul, just a few thousand short of a win here tonight, but we hope to see you next week, and thank you for coming up and talking with us. But before I let you go, do you have any teams or sponsors that you'd like to thank?
I just want to thank you to Nova Sim Racing, Josh Patterson for actually being out there racing, and trying to help me before he got taken out, and then going up and spotting me the rest of the race. Also, Mitch Hodge was fun pushing him, and I honestly thought me and him had something there at the end, but we're not in the right line at the end. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
All right, Paul. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see ya.
Walking out of the booth, second place finishers, and I just short. And it's kind of a painful as a driver to finish just that short of a win.
Well, I thought we did pretty well. With we had a little bit of damage on that right rear. From I don't know what happened really, but also his part get loose, but gave us a little bit of right rear and right front damage. Seemed to be pretty strong. Then after that, green flag run, get taken out by Corey Hartz, but used the fast repair and got myself up to third. So I thought I had a pretty good race. I think not to try to put myself in the middle because it seems like every time I went to the middle, I got left out. I got left out, and it didn't really help us that much. I fell to the back, and you know, it seemed like either the high side or the bottom side was the way to go. And this track normally isn't friendly to me, but either a low side or high side, I would say. Thank you to Bodega. Kyle Durbin owns it. Thank you to my team, McGrath Simsport. Matt McGrath owns it, and my teammate Parker White. He was a big help. Thank you.
Aaron, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy, Charlie.
Well, Aaron, you did a great job putting yourself in position to try to go and win just our first race back for Season 3. But I have to ask, just shy of a podium finish, what more did you need there to try to get out front or try to push someone else out front to get a win tonight?
Honestly, Charlie, I really didn't need much. It was just kind of where I was in the race. I mean, I had enough fuel to get to the end. I had cars around me, and we were in good lines. We were having momentum. It's just kind of fell probably a car short of getting the win, honestly, because on the outside line, I probably would have had someone push me from behind. I would have gone past Dominic at the time since he was on the bottom, if he didn't throw a block. And that probably would have gotten me to his door by inches coming off of 4 on a little straightaway. And then eventually in the travel, I probably would have gotten the victory. So in the end, it just boils down to where you are on the track coming out of turn 4. Because right in that little section, it's where chaos breaks loose.
All right, well, we're about to plunge into season number 3 of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series. So what can you kind of take away from this kind of exhibition race to just our first race back? What can you take away from this race to translate into the next race for our first points paying race and quite literally a paying race next week?
Just honestly, from what I can take away from this race would probably just be to keep your car in one piece. I feel that I was lucky enough to avoid all the crashes that happened in front of and behind me. So that's why it kind of helped me get to my win, or not win, but 4th place finish. And mostly that's what it is at super speedway tracks, is just keeping your car in one piece and being there at the end.
All right, just shy of a podium comes Darren Maroney. We hope to see you next week and throughout season number 3. But before we send you off and wish you the best of luck next week, do you have any teams or sponsors or anyone that you'd like to thank for making tonight's effort happen?
I'd like to thank my dad for making the paint scheme, and I'd like to thank you and Kenneth for broadcasting, Charlie. Always appreciate it.
Alrighty, Aaron. We'll see you later, man. Best of luck next week.
Thanks. Have a good one.
And out of the booth. Nice guy. Everyone likes him.
Yeah, Aaron Maroney, one of the class drivers and one of the nicest drivers you'll find in the garage, and certainly still potent after that 4th place finish. And what a great run for him. He was there at the end, but we're going to kick back to top 5 where league owner Glenn Bundren sits. And I think when I asked Glenn Bundren who was his favorite to win tonight, he said himself, but nonetheless, a top 5 will suffice. And Glenn, we talked a little bit earlier on the Instagram Live on the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series account. We talked about what our expectations were for tonight. Certainly had different expectations to what really happened, but you come out with a top 5 finishing position here in the Clash. Tell us your experience, what your experience was like behind the wheel in those final segments where you were up front pushing Aaron Maroney.
Well, pushing Aaron Maroney, I had no help behind me, so we really didn't go that far out. I was trying to get into the lead, but that never happened because we didn't have so much energy on the outside. But on Instagram Live, like you said, man, I was trying to call my shot and go to the front instantly, but that got halted because we crashed in like lap 4 or 5. I don't know. I mean, people being too aggressive too early, I guess. But hopefully we'll have better luck in the 200 on the 9th, $50. So looking forward to that. And just can't thank you guys for broadcasting, man. You guys make this league go out there to the public and such, and all the racers out there that showed up. We had almost like half a full field today, so that was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously we do appreciate the support, but back to your race at least. You said you got into a wreck earlier in this race, but you got that fast repair. You went back up through the field. You found yourself in this top 5 at the end of the race. What seems to be your expectations now that we're kicking to the actual opening race of the 200 in 2 weeks on November 9th, and what seems to be your thoughts about what you're going to try to do to get a win there?
Well, hopefully it's not chaotic like it was today. Hopefully we can like settle down and get a rhythm down, so we can be there at the end, because there won't be no fast repairs for the 200. That's new that I just added. So my expectations really didn't like shine too often. I mean, like, I try not to act like, oh, this race is gonna be good, and even though it was bad for me half the time, even though I finished 5th, because they all wrecked with like 4 to go. But I try not to get my hopes too high. I want the low expectations. Hopefully I exceed them.
All right, Glenn, well, certainly a great run to remember in a P5 for you tonight, but nonetheless, before we let you go, is there really just anyone you'd just like to give a shout out to for making your effort tonight possible?
Yeah, my dad, he's watching. Actually, I can hear him in the kitchen watching. So he makes that possible. 219 Racing, all the admins, Shane and Blaze, they helped me out a ton, and all the racers and you guys for broadcasting.
Well, we certainly appreciate the support, and of course, a shout out to Mr. Bundren there for supporting the league owner. But of course, thank you for your time, Glenn, and always appreciate the time. And we hope to see you there at the 200 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you.
Glenn Bundren out of the booth. He comes home P5, and that will conclude our interviews for tonight's action here at the World Center of Racing. Charlie back in the booth. We really certainly did not expect this race. A lot of drivers in this field. Lots of chaos to be said about this race. Lots of wrecks, but certainly a learning curve for a lot of these drivers as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to see the same amount of attrition for next week's race. And obviously racing points, everyone wants a good jump on the season because, you know, one race could really determine your entire season. So you really want to get that jump.
Certainly going to get that jump, and a lot of drivers going to be aiming for the 200 win in 2 weeks' time. And so many times we mention it, but now we'll just actually get to the deep info. In 2 weeks on November 9th, 2020, you can tune in to the KBueno Racing Network at about 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will have all the coverage right here from the World Center of Racing and the Daytona International Speedway for the actual 200. The opening race, $50 goes to the winner of that event, and of course we'll kick off season 3 for sure, and we'll have all the points paying races coming after, and every single race can be found right here on the KBueno Racing Network for season 3. So to cap off everything, and of course a big thanks to Glenn Bundren for all of his support and for making this league and the Bundren Lawn Care Series happen. For all the admins at Shane DiMantova, Blaze McKinney, and for all of us here at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Baier, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from the World Center of Racing. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the 200.